From the basement of La Penta, this is WICR.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Sports Vault. I am your host with the most, Jersey Joe Archino, and it is familiar territory and unfamiliar territory at the same time. Opening kickoff for the NFL tonight, and it's funny because I say unfamiliar territory because I've been able to come into this station the last 2 years, that Thursday before the opening night game, and confidently say who my Super Bowl prediction matchup was going to be, all the works. This year, I just don't feel that. I've been lucky enough to be right with my predictions the last 2 years because I had such a strong feeling so early, even into the summer. I just knew who it was going to be. This time, though, I honestly I haven't had that gut. I've been searching, doing soul searching, going for walks, trying to think, what is my pick? And the NFL season is here, and I still don't have one. I think we're in a situation where, obviously, one of the big selling points for everyone in the NFL is how much parity there is. I think that's one of the things that everybody likes. Is each year, even if you're a Chargers fan, you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan, you're a Steelers fan, you feel like you've got a shot. Now, obviously, the top tiers are like the Seahawks, the Packers, others like that. But you have hope, and obviously, teams like the Cowboys, based on what they did last year. But, I mean, this year, I think it's just such a melting pot of parity that it's so difficult to try, because every single team, I don't think there's one team where you can't circle them and circle one big, gigantic hole that you're worried and concerned about them. Now, obviously, as the season progresses, we'll see. And Week 1 is the hardest test of all, especially in the Pick'em, which I'll do later today, just because so much happens. In the first 3 weeks, I feel like after the first 3 weeks, you really start to get an idea. You really need to kind of just tough it out the first 3 weeks to let everybody gel together, mesh together, get in rhythm. But again, I think when you look at it, the Super Bowl pick, clearly a lot of people really like Green Bay this year. A lot of people really like Indianapolis this year. I like the Packers. Obviously, how could you not? Aaron Rodgers is as good as it comes. But again, they have some injuries. Now, Jordy Nelson going down, I think that's a huge loss for them. Defensively, how are they going to look this year? I think they do take a little bit of a step forward. Eddie Lacy, obviously, with what he did, you would expect him to come back stronger than ever. So the Packers, of course, have every ingredient to get to the Super Bowl. But it's the same thing with the Seahawks. They have every ingredient to get to the Super Bowl, but they've lost some playmakers. The Cam Chancellor situation happening right now. They've locked up their guy, Russell Wilson, for the long term. Marshawn Lynch. That's one of the pieces I'm really still wondering about because he's been such a heavy workhorse back for them for so long now, and we really haven't seen a sign of a decline with him, and I'm just waiting for that decline to happen. Now, I don't think that, again, it's going to be a gradual decline. I don't think it's just going to hit us right in the face, but I do think that you're going to start to see a little bit of a decline. Now, I could be wrong. The guy is beast mode. The guy is terrific, but again, when you're such heavily dependent on running that ball with him, I worry about the amount of hits he's been taking. But Seattle, of course, has every ingredient. The Colts are an interesting one. I think Vegas absolutely love the Colts. Me, I'm still I don't love what they did in the offseason. Now, I think Andrew Luck is the best quarterback. I'm ready to say this year, I think he'll establish himself as the best quarterback in the National Football League. I think he is just next level. I don't think there's any other quarterback. I don't think Brady or Manning could have taken the roster he had last season to the AFC Championship game. I mean, I really think everybody in that system is a product of him. You look at what he has to work with. I mean, he makes T.Y. Hilton. He had no other big playmakers. I mean, I like Dwayne Allen. Coby Fleener's not great. They didn't have a very consistent running game. We all know what happened with Trent Richardson. And defensively, I mean, when it comes to playing the big boys like the Patriots, they can't stop them for a lick. So I think Luck has so much working against him, but at the same time, he elevates that team to make them so much better than they actually are. But Luck is as good as it gets, and of course, I think his game takes an even bigger step this year. Now, clearly the roster is better this year, but again, Frank Gore and Andre Johnson are two of the big pieces you bring in. Frank Gore is a guy who has taken a lot of wear and tear on him. Now, I love Frank Gore. Frank Gore has been a very consistent, dependable player for a long, long time in this league. But again, this is a guy who's kind of past that 30 age mark. This is a guy who's taken a lot of carries throughout his career. I don't know how heavy of workload you can anticipate giving him and hoping that he stays healthy and contributes consistently, because again, that age carries. Those carries, they really take a toll. And Andre Johnson, it's a similar situation. I love him. I think he's always been one of the best receivers in the game. He's had trouble staying healthy his entire career, but again, he's always been jaw-dropping good, and luck, it'll help him out. T.Y. Hilton, Dwayne Allen, T.Y. Hilton, Andre Johnson, you start to develop some other guys. I think that you'll start to do better in that department, but I think the Colts are still not where they need to be defensively to get to win a Super Bowl. I just think at the end of the day, you've still got to have a formidable defense, because we've really seen in the last couple Super Bowls, it's been really that extra edge on defense. It's why the Patriots finally won a Super Bowl last year. I mean, it took Brady and Belichick a while to finally get it. I mean, they lost those two to the Giants, but those defenses, I mean, if you look at the statistics, those were two of the worst defenses in the league that year. This final last season, obviously you have Revis, you have Browner, you finally added the secondary that you needed, and what happens? You get a Super Bowl as a result of it. And their defense clearly takes a step back to New England, but New England, again, is one of those ones. I think that whole AFC East is very interesting, because I think the Jets are obviously better. You think the Dolphins for sure have to be better with all the offseason, the big splash they made with Ndamukong Suh and some of the other moves that they made, especially Devontae Parker, bringing him in. How does Tannehill step up? And then Buffalo, I don't like them at quarterback with Tyrod Taylor, but I think you've got LaShawn McCoy. That roster is improved. Rex Ryan, he's got a very good defense to work with. So there's a lot of variables at play here. And again, I just don't think that, for me, I can confidently say about anyone. I think the AFC West, too, is a very difficult one to kind of anticipate. I think we're all kind of waiting to see what's Peyton going to look like with Gary Kubiak now. I mean, a lot of new faces, but a lot of consistent ones that have been there as well. Gary Kubiak did a fantastic job in Baltimore last year. Baltimore is one of the teams that I really do like a lot this year. I think when you look at them and you look at how collectively good that they are with the roster that they have right now, I think that they're in for a very good season. And when you look at the AFC North, obviously there's competition there. The Cleveland Browns are a dumpster fire. I mean, that offense, to be quite honest, is going to be I don't think I will watch their offense this season. I'll turn the TV off. It's just going to be unwatchable. But the Steelers are obviously an interesting one. I think without Le'Veon Bell for those first couple games, it's going to be a little bit of a fight. But Antonio Brown and Roethlisberger, I think their offense finally got in that rhythm that fans had been waiting to see for a while last season. Clearly this year, you'd think that they build off of it. But I like the Ravens a lot in that division this year. I think Flacco's never going to be the guy who really captures your eye in the regular season, but we see what he does in the postseason. I think they always are in the conversation, and if they get in that playoff conversation, I think their defense is better this year, and I do like the weapons that they've been bringing in. So I think the Ravens are in for a good year, but again, I can't confidently say at this moment that I have a Super Bowl prediction. And I'll never go on and say it unless I have that undying belief in my gut who it's going to be. Last season, I thought the day the summer started, I thought it was Pats Seahawks. The year before that, I think it was all kind of clear. The Seahawks with how good that roster was. The Broncos are kind of with that disappointing loss the year before to Baltimore. We knew how much sharper their offense would be, and my goodness, it was incredibly sharp, and they had lost, though. But I think at the end of the day, I just don't have that gut feeling. I think, like I said, I went over some of those teams that are all going to be in that conversation, but I just don't know. I can't say it, and it's a good thing and it's a bad thing. It's a good thing because it shows that parity level. I mean, I've been talking to a lot of people who also do shows for the station. I think a lot of us are feeling the same way. There's a lot of uncertainty, and that's exciting. I think when you have that level of you're waiting down to the end because you just don't have any idea, I think that's why we watch, because we don't know what's going to happen. And I think that makes it exciting. Clearly, tonight is as good an opening test as you could come, because New England is going to be one of those ones. Now that Brady doesn't have that suspension, I think they're back in that conversation. I would not have considered them a Super Bowl conversation talker if Brady was suspended those first couple games. But now he's back. He's playing, and I think that changes the conversation. Now, I think, again, it's kind of back to the point I made last year that I think the reason they finally won it is because they finally fixed that defense. Revis and then Browner, some other pieces, really enabled them, and that was what they've been missing for so long. That defense obviously loses those two guys, so clearly they take a massive step back in that regard. But again, they're always in that conversation, and it's going to be interesting tonight. I will be back kind of coming down to the end of this day. I'll be back later in the day with the picks for Week 1. Week 1 is always the most difficult, but I like it because it helps you kind of feel things out for it. Did well last year. I think got 10 wins in Week 1 last year, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back later.